Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing today? I'm open to some questions. I know you've heard that the superintendent has decided to resign. Although I know it comes to a surprise for most people, I do think that COVID and what's happened in our community has made us realize that family is first. And I really respect the superintendent. And I appreciate everything he's done. He's done so many wonderful things in our district. He's moved us academically and in so many manners. So I really understand and I appreciate that all the things that he's done. And I feel very confident that we have so many great employees here. We have great chief of schools. We have a great chief of staff. We have many, many great leaders in our district. And I feel like our district will continue to thrive and do very well.
What are the next steps in this process? You have a resignation letter in front of you, so now what's next?
I think the next step would be to have an interim. And we do have several options internally and externally. I think it's not going to be an issue. And the wonderful thing about the superintendent, he's leaving in great terms. So he's going to work side by side. We are already prepared. Summer's going. We already have our fall schedule ready to go. He's already talked about making sure that we have people out in the schools because we do know that there's a shortage of teachers. So we have everything implemented. All we're waiting for is for the students to come. So I feel very confident that our district will continue to thrive and do very well.
So are we to read anything into this in that the deputy superintendent just resigned and now Mr. Davis is resigning? Are those two related, and if so, why?
No, I don't think so. I think you're looking across the nation, right? I mean, you're seeing many people leave education. In Florida alone, there's, I think, 61 changes in superintendents. So I think you're seeing people that have opportunities that think, hey, maybe I'm going to go back home, or this is a great time for me to apply. I have this leadership. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for people who are capable into those leadership positions, but I don't think it's negative. I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned. As a matter of fact, I almost, when the Duval position opened up, I thought that that might be a great opportunity for the superintendent to go back. And as I look around and I spoke to him today, we talked about several wonderful leaders that we have here internally. And we have a very strong board and we have a great school district. So I know there's going to be many external candidates as well. I think this is going to be a very sought after position.
So this is a very difficult time in education in Florida, given the changes of state law, the pressures from Tallahassee and from the governor about the way education should be done in local school districts. So how do you then go out and find someone who can meet the demands of this job and keep the local people happy and still follow the demands from Tallahassee?
Well, I think what you'll see is that the superintendent has not done this job alone. He has many people surrounding him, have supported him, and we've done wonderfully in the last few years. Our schools have we've increased academically. Our financial situation is much better. So we will continue to do that. So I'm not concerned. I think whoever we choose will continue to work well with the governor and continue to work well with the Department of Education, and we're going to make sure that we're compliant. And at the end of the day, this is all about serving students. And the superintendent has done so many great things, but I think one of the things that I think is the most important is the principal. He has put so many, if you look at the last few years, the principles that he's put into place and the leadership has been amazing, and even the leadership all the way throughout. So I think that is the most important thing. I think when the parent comes into a school, I don't think they're thinking who's the superintendent or who's on the school board or who's the chair. I think they're thinking who's my principal, who's my child's teacher, who's my child's bus driver. And we're doing a wonderful job with that, and we have the leaders to continue to do that work and to continue that work.
Are you concerned about that balance, though, between Tallahassee and obviously there's a different dynamic here in Hillsborough County?
I don't think I'm any more concerned than any other district in the state of Florida. And I think one of the things that we have, you have to remember that only 29 districts have appointed superintendents. So you have to imagine the rest of the state, a lot of times you have a superintendent who doesn't have a background in education. We're fortunate enough to have that. Not that they're not capable, not that they're not doing wonderful jobs, elected superintendents, but we have the ability to hire someone. And the strength of our board and how we're fiscally strong and all the innovative things that we have available, I guarantee that we'll have dozens, probably over a dozen of very good candidates apply. I feel very confident. And as I look around in our cabinet, I can think of 3 or 4 people who I think would be great leaders as well.
The superintendent is leaving also at a time when the district is
going through a lot of changes. We saw rezoning decisions made over the last year or so. Are you concerned at all? Do you have any concerns about the next person coming in at a time when there are so many things going on that they're now going to have to deal with, like I said, rezoning, things of that nature?
I don't think so. I think next Tuesday, once the boundary meeting is complete, I think most of the heavy lift and most of the challenges that we face with COVID, with loss of learning, with instability, with making sure that we have the right positions in control. So I feel that he has done a heavy lift, and I have to thank him for that. I think he's done a wonderful job. He's a very innovative leader. He's extremely hardworking. He really cares about this community, and I have to thank him for all the things that we have been fortunate to have him here. And I think when you look at where we are fiscally and where we were 2 years ago, and compared to what's happening, I think he has left us in a very great position, and a position where many people want to step into those shoes.
Are you concerned also about the finances moving forward? I know that just during the workshop the other day, something came up regarding per pupil spending or funding coming in from the state, just sort of being offset by the allocations that the state is also removing. So is there a concern moving forward that the next superintendent is going to have to deal with more financial issues?
We are very fortunate. We are in a better financial situation, but we are going to have to continue to make sure that we right-size our district, make sure that our classrooms are not overfilled, but that we don't have students in small classrooms. And some of the things, some of the cuts that we had, they've remained in place. So I feel that whoever comes in, we are in a better financial situation. Listen, it's hard in Florida. No matter which way you look at it, we're ranked 47th for funding, and you can look at inflation, and people can't even live to work here. That's a problem for everyone in this state. So what we have to do is continue moving forward and working hard to making sure that that we're making the right decisions. And we have a strong CFO, we have strong staff members. I feel that we have everything in place to continue to be successful. I think some of the changes that the superintendent brought was really great, to bring someone from the outside to look at things in a different way. If you look at technology that we've had updated, if you look at some of our schools, if you look at so many of the programs that we've changed, our ACE programs, our expansion, our K through 8, there's been so many wonderful things. Whoever comes next, I'm sure they're going to do a great job as well.
Is it safe to assume, though, that this next person will have to go out for another referendum?
Yes, I do think so. I mean, if you look around, we were the only district to not receive a referendum. I mean, people have to realize that if they want a safe and wonderful society, and they want great police officers and great doctors, then they're going to have to invest in our community and our society, and that means really looking at a referendum. So that's something that the board will have to discuss, but whoever comes into place, I think it's going to be very important. You have to look around all our surrounding districts. They all have referendums except for us, and we are very much more expensive place to live in, and we have to do something.
The other initiative that, and this was mentioned before, the boundary changes, it was left undetermined what will become of these 5 school buildings, the ones that are going to be repurposed. So that's something, would you imagine the next person is going to have to really step into that role and figure out what to do with these buildings?
Well, the superintendent has many, ideas for some of those schools, and he will be working, alongside, and whatever the next person's vision will be. But we have to remember that as our enrollment has, decreased in certain areas, we have to make sure we are making fiscally responsible decisions. Because how can I ask the community for a referendum if I'm not willing to make some really difficult decisions?
How about the boundary on the rezoning? This is the superintendent plan. So what are you guys going to do? Are you guys going to wait to hire a new one, or is going to?
No, we will vote on the boundaries on Tuesday as planned in our school board meeting. Everything will move forward. Everything will move forward as it always has. He will be here until the end of July, and then he will continue for the next 90 days to support whoever comes in, which I think is wonderful. A lot of times you have a superintendent who maybe they don't leave in great terms, and so you don't have that cohesiveness or us working together. So I think that's a really, really important factor, that we're going to be able to work together, and that he's going to be able to guide that person. And then at the end of at the end of the day, whoever gets hired, it's going to be their vision. But we have a really strong, wonderful school board. We have great, as I said, I can't say it enough. I feel so honored to work alongside so many of the wonderful leaders in our district.
So if you had to choose one qualification, one outstanding feature of the next person, what are you looking for?
I think probably resilience, because we're seeing a lot of superintendents not stay for a very long time because it is a very difficult job. So I think we want somebody who's we know is going to stay here for a long time. I think that's what the community wants. I mean, everybody wants somebody who's going to be here long term. We don't want a superintendent here who's going to be here for a year or two. So someone who's going to be resilient. It's a difficult job. It's a hard job, but it is the most important job in our community.
Did Superintendent Davis give any indication that he may be interested in the Duval County job? I asked because you mentioned it.
Well, the only thing I heard is he's going back home. So when I saw the positions opening up, I see all these, there's positions everywhere. Osceola, was Sarasota, all these positions. When I saw Duval, I thought, gosh, I wonder if he'll want to go back home, right? I mean, but we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I think he has many options. He's extremely, innovative, bright. I think he could go the public, private sector. I think he has many options. But I know that he loves this district. I know he's worked so hard for this district. And when we spoke this morning, I really thanked him because I think he's just done a remarkable job. And, and it's hard to be a leader. You're not always going to be loved or liked. But if you really look at the movements and the things that he's